What happens when 313 believers stand against an army far greater than themselves?
After migrating to Medina, the Muslims were not merely seeking refuge, they were laying the foundation of a new civilization.
In Mecca, the Quraysh stood intoxicated by wealth and power, convinced that no force in Arabia could ever challenge them.
Mecca was the commercial heart of Arabia. Its caravans controlled the trade routes that fed the power of Quraysh. The message of Islam made it clear that faith alone required preparation, patience, and strength to endure.
The Muslims began a series of carefully planned expeditions, not for conquest, but to declare their presence and resolve. The Prophet knew that mere survival would never protect the believers from future danger. These actions sent a clear message to Quraysh. The Muslims were no longer weak or defenseless.
By threatening the trade routes, the Muslims struck at the very lifeline of Quraysh's power.
There were three clear goals: to show strength, weaken Quraysh economically, and build alliances around Medina.
Through patience and planning, the Islamic State began to grow beyond Medina.
9 months after the migration, news reached Medina that a Quraysh caravan was moving openly through nearby routes. A decision was made to move forward with caution, discipline, and purpose.
The Muslims set out toward Al-Abwa, marking the first organized expedition after Hijrah. The Quraysh caravan slipped away, and no battle took place. Instead, a peaceful alliance was formed with the nearby tribe of Banu Damrah.
Though no battle was fought, this expedition marked a turning point in confidence and political strength.
Soon after, the Muslims came face to face with their enemies, yet fate had written a different outcome.
Although both sides were prepared, no battle took place on that day.
A third party stepped in, halting the conflict before it could turn into bloodshed.
In that moment, an arrow was released for the sake of faith, the first arrow in Islamic history. Though no battle followed, that arrow became a symbol of courage and determination.
These moments strengthened the believers and sent a clear message: fear no longer ruled their hearts.
Soon after, news arrived of a massive Quraysh caravan traveling north towards Syria, carrying much of Makkah's wealth.
The Muslims set out with determination, following the caravan's path toward the region of Al-Ushayra. A Qurayshi scout spotted movement in the distance, alerting Abu Sufyan to the approaching danger. This caravan represented the economic backbone of Quraysh, a loss that could shake Makkah itself.
Though the caravan escaped, the path toward a greater confrontation had already been set. Though the caravan escaped, the path toward a greater confrontation had already been set. During this tense period, an allied force of Quraysh launched a sudden night raid near Medina.
Camels were stolen, and innocent shepherds were killed, leaving behind grief and anger.
When news of the raid reached Medina, there was no delay in response.
70 companions were sent in pursuit, moving swiftly through the desert. The attackers escaped into the desert, and no battle followed.
This incident became known as the first encounter at Badr, a quiet warning of a far greater battle ahead. Soon after, a mission was launched that carried greater danger than any before: the expedition of Nakhla.
Abdullah ibn Jahsh was chosen to lead this mission, trusted for his faith, discipline, and courage.
Only those who had been driven from Mecca were chosen, men whose wounds were still fresh.
The leader was handed a sealed letter to be opened only after 2 days of travel.
Participation was voluntary. Only those ready to face death were asked to continue. Every man stayed, their faith stronger than fear, their resolve unshaken. The group traveled with only a few camels, sharing hardship step by step through the desert.
During the journey, one camel escaped into the desert, forcing a sudden delay. 2 companions stayed behind to search for the lost camel, while the others continued onward. The remaining group reached the valley of Nakhla, dangerously close to Mecca.
From their hidden position, they spotted a small Quraysh caravan loaded with goods.
They faced a heavy dilemma. Their orders were clear, yet the opportunity before them was immense.
It was the final day of Rajab, a sacred month in which fighting was forbidden by long-standing tradition.
The companions debated intensely. Should they let the caravan pass or act before it reached Mecca? In the end, a decision was made. They would act before the caravan disappeared forever. The caravan was attacked, and in the clash, Amr ibn al-Hadrami was killed. 2 men were taken captive, and the caravan's goods were seized. They returned to Medina, carrying both the gains and the weight of uncertainty. When the expedition returned, news of what had happened spread quickly through Medina. The response was not celebration, but disappointment, and the action had crossed a sacred boundary.
The spoils were refused, and the captives were held, awaiting a just decision.
Quraysh seized the moment, spreading claims that sacred traditions had been violated. The pain was deep, because a part of the accusation carried truth.
The community waited, not for victory or defeat, but for divine clarity. Then clarity arrived, a revelation that placed justice, intention, and wrongdoing in their proper balance.
Fighting in a sacred month was indeed serious, but oppression, expulsion, and blocking faith were far greater crimes.
With clarity restored, a decision was made. The captives would be treated with fairness and restraint.
Yet release was delayed until the 2 missing companions returned safely.
For one captive, this mercy became a turning point. His heart opened to faith.
These events refined the believers, preparing them for a trial far greater than any before. Soon, reports arrived of a massive Quraysh caravan returning from the south, carrying immense wealth toward Mecca.
Reliable scouts confirmed the scale of the caravan, a target that could shake the economy of Mecca.
The call was made without delay. Whoever had a mount was to prepare immediately. Only a small force assembled, just over 300 believers, lightly equipped. They marched forward, unaware that destiny itself was walking beside them. Camels were shared, hardship divided equally, and no one was given privilege over another. Though the caravan escaped safely, the Quraysh did not turn back. Pride demanded a display of power. In Mecca, the call to arms echoed, not for defense, but for arrogance and revenge. Nearly 1,300 warriors assembled, armed, mounted, and confident of victory. They marched with drums, singers, and celebration, determined to terrify all of Arabia.
Some voices urged restraint, but arrogance spoke louder than reason.
Blind to what awaited them, the Quraysh marched toward Badr and toward their fate. In Mecca, a terrifying dream spread fear, a vision of destruction falling upon the city.
Some mocked the warning, dismissing it as nothing more than imagination and fear. Yet the dream spread from house to house, planting fear in hearts that mocked it openly.
Mecca erupted in panic, fear now replacing the laughter of arrogance.
Then came Damdam, tearing through Mecca, crying out that the caravan was under attack. From that moment on, war was inevitable, and Badr awaited them all. The believers reached the plains of Badr, unaware that this quiet land would soon echo through history. A question was raised. Was this position chosen by revelation or by strategy? The decision was made to control the wells, denying the enemy water in the desert heat.
That night, calm descended upon the believers, a stillness before the storm. Strength was sent from above, calming hearts and steadying resolve.
As dawn approached, every heart knew the moment of truth was near. As the sun rose over Badr, the battle finally began. 3 champions from Quraysh stepped forward, demanding single combat.
The believers responded, stepping forward without hesitation.
One of the believers was wounded severely, becoming the first martyr of Badr.
That moment shifted the battle, courage replacing fear. With the duels concluded, the battlefield erupted, steel clashed, and destiny unfolded.
Strength came from beyond what eyes could see, steadying hands and strengthening hearts.
Outnumbered and outmatched, the believers did not retreat, their resolve unbreakable. Against all expectation, victory became clear, a moment that would echo through history. What began as arrogance turned into confusion and then into fear. Abu Jahl, the loudest voice of hatred, fell on the battlefield, marking the collapse of Quraysh arrogance. It was the courage of the young that brought him down, faith stronger than fear. One by one, the leaders of Quraysh fell, leaving their army without direction.
With the loss of direction and leadership, the Quraysh forces began to unravel, confusion replacing control.
From that day forward, nothing in Arabia remained the same. Fear shifted, and belief found its voice.
Some from Quraysh were taken captive, now entirely at the mercy of those they once oppressed.
When the battle ended, silence returned to Badr, and a new test began.
Yet mercy was chosen over revenge, setting a standard unknown to the age.
The captives were treated with dignity, often fed before their captors themselves.
Badr was not only a military victory, it was a moral one.
After the dust of Badr settled, the believers returned to Medina, changed forever. 14 believers gave their lives, their sacrifice written forever in faith. Badr sent a clear message across Arabia. Islam was now a force that could not be ignored.
Badr taught that victory does not belong to numbers or weapons, but to faith, patience, and righteousness.
Badr was not the end of a battle. It was the beginning of a new era in human history.